we don't fully understand. I'm going to steal a line from an old movie called Cool Hand Luke. Says, we have a failure to communicate. Love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. The church needs to stand on this firm foundation, and that's the message that needs to go to the world. If I say these words, what comes to your mind? Auschwitz, Oklahoma City bombing, 9/11, Virginia Tech shooting, Columbine. At the center of all of these things is hate. We live in a world where we have North Korea testing nuclear missiles, India, Pakistan, all getting nuclear weapons. But the battle is not here, and we don't fight with carnal weapons. The battle is the Lord's. There's a battle going on in the heavens. It's a spiritual warfare. And we need to get about loving the world. Back a few years ago, many years ago, there was a song that came out. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's just the only thing that there's just too little of. 1 John also tells us, and so we know and rely on the love God has for us. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in him. Just a few minutes ago, we had a little children's message, or actually, the children give us a message right back, don't they? Because they understand that God is love. Matthew 18 tells us, I tell you the truth, unless you change and become like these little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. And the question comes to mind, how can I be more childlike? I don't need to ask that of my wife, she knows. A little girl returned home from her first day at school, and her mom asked, did you learn anything? The little girl says, I guess not. I have to go back tomorrow. And the next day, we are all like sheep. We forget the way. We are running here and there, scattered. We tend to go our own way. There's so much that we don't understand. We need to take time to learn of God and listen to Him. And this is what He says to us. Love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love is patient, even on the interstate. Love is kind. Practice random acts of kindness, even when no one else is watching. Love does not envy. Love does not brag. Love is not proud. Love is not rude. Love is not self-serving. Love is not easily angered. Love loves music. That wasn't originally in there, but... Love does not keep a list of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil. Love rejoices with the truth. Love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. God asks us, are you listening? Are you understanding? We know we're listening to God when what we read in the Bible is what others see in our life. Maybe you've heard the story of the not-so-bright fellow who saw an advertisement for a cruise. The sign in the travel agency window said, "Cruise, $100 cash." "I've got $100, he thought, and I'd like to go on a cruise." So he went in. The man at the desk asked for the money, and the not-too-bright guy started counting it out. When he got to 100, he was whacked over the head and knocked out cold. He woke up in a barrel floating down a river. Another guy in another barrel floated past him and asked, "Say, do they serve lunch on this cruise?" The not-too-bright fellow answered, "They didn't last year." It's one thing not to know. It's another thing to know and not learn. We're urged to put into practice what we have learned from him. Philippians tells us, "What you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, do." Love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. Just because you understand my fears and wrong emotions, you forgive me. Just because you understand, a famous writer wrote this, so I don't want to mess up that person's poem. Just because you come to me in a moment, in an instant, when I call upon you, just because you understand my fears and wrong emotions and you forgive me, just because you dare to believe in me when all of my actions are so vain, just because you care for me when I don't even care for myself, just because you hold me up when I fall over and over, just because you want for me things I don't even dream about, just because you saw me and knew me even before my time. For all these reasons and more, I love you and you love me just because. My wife wrote that. I feel great. There was a song that came out some years ago, and I used a passage of it at one of my parents' funerals. Tim McGraw did it. Live like you were dying. We do know we're all dying, don't we? There's no one that's going to pass unless they do. And he writes in there, he says, when he found out, his father was found out that he was dying, he says, "I loved deeper, and I spoke sweeter, and I gave forgiveness I'd been denying." Is there anyone that we are not forgiving? Is there anyone that we need to forgive and we've been denying? That's your first step towards loving your neighbor, is forgive. Forgive them. Love doesn't count up wrongs. And it doesn't do anything but hurt you yourself, not the other person.